Hi there! Welcome to What is Islam Academy. Let's learn about Islam together.
My Christian friends often ask, why can Muslims build mosques and share their faith in the West? But Christian missionaries face restrictions in many Muslim-majority countries. Is this a double standard? It's a fair question rooted in concerns about fairness and religious freedom. The answer isn't simple. It requires us to look at history, theology, and the meaning of inviting someone to faith. In the West, Muslims practice openly, while in some Muslim countries, missionary work is restricted. This seems unbalanced at first glance, but the issue is deeper than just freedom versus restriction. It's about how each society defines and protects its core values. Islam values religious freedom, but also prioritizes protecting communities from what it sees as spiritual or cultural aggression, often shaped by historical experiences. The question is valid and deserves a thoughtful, nuanced answer. Islam's approach is not about closing doors, but about understanding why some doors have locks and who holds the key. Let's explore this together, seeking understanding rather than debate. This conversation is about clarity, not confrontation. Let's flip the script. While Christians ask about restrictions in Muslim countries, why does Islam's presence in the West often trigger fear and suspicion? Minarets spark protests, hijabs draw hostility, and dawah is sometimes framed as a threat. These reactions aren't rare, they're mainstream in many places. This fear stems from concerns about cultural change and the protection of societal values. Every society, even the most open, has boundaries it seeks to defend. The West's anxiety about Islam mirrors Muslim society's concerns about missionary work. Both are rooted in self-preservation and the desire to protect identity. The issue isn't about rejecting the message of Jesus, Muslims revere him, but about the methods and perceived agendas of organized missionary campaigns. History has shown that such campaigns can be disruptive, even destructive. Every community, East or West, draws lines to protect itself. Islam unequivocally upholds freedom of religion. Faith must be chosen, not forced. The Quran insists that belief is only meaningful if it's voluntary, but freedom in Islam comes with responsibility. It's not absolute, it's balanced with the well-being of the community. Just as free speech has limits in every society, so does religious propagation. Islam distinguishes between honest sharing of beliefs and organized, foreign-funded campaigns that exploit poverty or vulnerability. Restrictions target methods that use material leverage, not the sharing of ideas. This is about protecting the poor from being bribed and the uneducated from being deceived. Islam's stance is not a denial of freedom, but a safeguard for genuine, unpressured choice. The goal is a level playing field for the heart and mind. True freedom of conscience requires protection from exploitation. That's the core of the Islamic framework. The Quran's command is clear. Let there be no compulsion in religion. 2:256. This isn't just advice, it's a foundational rule. Truth stands clear from error, so faith must be chosen freely. The Prophet Muhammad's role was to convey the message, not to compel belief. Even he was told he couldn't force faith on anyone. Historically, Christian and Jewish communities thrived under Muslim rule, protected and allowed to practice their faith. If Islam advocated forced conversion, these communities wouldn't have survived for centuries. The Qur'anic principle extends beyond physical force. It forbids coercion by economic or social pressure as well. Using aid or material needs to manipulate faith is also a form of compulsion. Islam's rule is about protecting the sanctity of human choice in every form. Restrictions on missionary work uphold, not contradict this principle. The aim is to ensure faith is always an authentic, uncoerced decision. To understand Muslim apprehension about missionary work, we must remember history. In the colonial era, missionaries often arrived with soldiers and traders, acting as the cultural arm of empire. Access to education and healthcare was sometimes conditional on conversion, undermining local cultures and beliefs. This created deep wounds and a sense of cultural inferiority that lingers today. In India, missionary activity fueled social tension and resentment, especially when tied to colonial power. The legacy of using aid as leverage for conversion is not forgotten. Today, foreign-funded missions are often seen as a continuation of this pattern. Faith as a transaction, not conviction. The response is defensive, rooted in historical memory, not intolerance. It's about protecting dignity and cultural integrity. Islamic and Christian missionary work may both invite people to faith, but their approaches differ greatly. Is about sharing, reasoning, and inviting reflection, never coercion or manipulation. The Quran commands, invite with wisdom and good instruction. Charity in Islam is unconditional, it's never tied to conversion. In contrast, many missionary campaigns are structured, target-driven, and often blend aid with proselytism. This can turn faith into a numbers game and create dependency. Islam objects to this fusion of aid and conversion, not to sincere acts of charity. Is a conversation between equals, free of material pressure? The difference is transparent invitation versus strategic conversion. That's why one is welcomed and the other viewed with caution. Christianity's expansion is marked by episodes of forced conversion, especially during colonization. In the Americas, indigenous peoples faced brutal choices, baptism or death. The Spanish Inquisition and other persecutions forced Jews and Muslims to convert or face dire consequences. These were state policies, not isolated incidents, and their legacy endures. Even peaceful modern missions can't escape this historical shadow. Islam, by contrast, forbids compulsion in faith, both in scripture and law. Early Muslim empires did not force conversions. Minority rights were protected, as in the Covenant of Umar. Muslim concerns about missionary work are shaped by this history, wary of foreign-backed religious movements. The Islamic prohibition on forced conversion is a lesson learned from history's darkest chapters. It's a commitment to never repeat those mistakes. Is the West truly open to Islamic dialogue? Muslims who engage in dawah often face suspicion and are labeled as threats. Public debates rarely focus on substance. Instead, they sensationalize or marginalize Muslim voices. There's a cultural immune system that resists Islam's message even without legal bans. By contrast, Islamic history is rich with open, public debates between faiths, often sponsored by rulers. These were genuine intellectual exchanges, not secret or suppressed. Islam welcomes honest debate, not subversion or exploitation. The objection is to manipulation, not to dialogue. The real double standard is not about openness, but about protecting the vulnerable from being manipulated. Islam seeks fair, respectful conversation, never a rigged game. That's the standard it upholds. Islam's spread in Indonesia, the world's largest Muslim nation, is a model of peaceful dawah. No armies or forced conversions, just traders, Sufi scholars, and honest business people sharing their faith. Locals were drawn by the character and conduct of Muslims, not by pressure or material incentives. Conversion was gradual, organic, and respectful of local culture. In contrast, European colonial powers brought soldiers, missionaries, and coercion. Their methods often involved pressure and were tied to political power. The difference is stark. Invitation versus invasion, attraction versus coercion. The Indonesian example embodies Islam's ideal, faith shared through example, not force. This is the model Muslim societies seek to preserve. It's why aggressive, resource-heavy missionary models are viewed with suspicion. So where do we go from here? The goal isn't to deepen divides, but to foster understanding. Islam's position on missionary work is rooted in theology, history, and a commitment to human dignity. It values freedom, but insists on responsibility and protection from exploitation. Islam encourages dialogue, not isolation. The Quran invites people to find common ground and discuss differences respectfully. Islam isn't afraid of open exchange. It resists only when the playing field is unfair. Imagine Christians and Muslims sharing their faiths honestly, without hidden agendas or material incentives. Imagine providing charity together as a shared act of humanity. This is the engagement Islam calls for: mutual respect, honesty, and a shared desire to serve God and humanity. Let's move beyond suspicion and historical grievances. Let's commit to honest conversation as equals in our mosques, churches, and communities. Replace predatory missions with sincere dialogue. This is Islam's invitation, a door always open to truth and understanding.